Hi, welcome back to another update from Three Bridges. So it's a lovely spring day as it has been all week. I've got a load more sheet material in, so this will probably see me through to September time, I think. So I can get a lot of the subframe and the baseboards down the other side of my loft now, so ahead of sort of building London stations and stuff. So I can update you a little bit on that. Um, Trying to get the next 8 frame or B frame up as well, so I'm starting so I can start doing the supports across for the second and third decks down the London side of the loft. I've got 4 more of these to make, and that gets me to the other end of the loft, so I'll be doing that over the next few weeks. And then what I'll show you is the sort of track plans I've got. So basically how I turn the corner again, and then head into my Harrow on the Hill station. I've got a couple of thoughts there in terms of the layout. There's a couple of options in the way I can do it. So one's sort of a more simplified running, the other one you have more options in terms of the way you run but I can explain that, and I'll introduce a little bit about the Harrow on the Hill station, the scratch building of that. More of that later. So hope you enjoy it. Thanks for those who liked and subscribed last time, did appreciate it. Right, on with the episode. I'm just trying to get this end of the loft, at least the baseboard, down now that I've got the Uxbridge lines coming through. So I fixed the so this is my East Coast West Coast line, so I've put the supports underneath. So this one's just raised up slightly, and I would say that the other boards just drop a little bit in front, and then they'll drop later as they sort of go down the other side of the loft behind what will be Harrow on the Hill, which will be about there. And then I've got the Chiltern, I suppose, line in, board in, and again with the supports above. So I've got a good clearance here where the Uxbridge lines come underneath, so they'll clear. And then the next part is obviously on this part, the next part is laying cork, and I'll get the track laid, so hopefully next time I show you this that'll all be done. And then on this side of the loft I've just started with the next baseboard, so that's the main sheet cut to size. What I now need to do is sort of do exactly as I did the other side, so split out the East Coast West Coast line with the 4th radius curve and greater at the back there, so the stock will run comfortably, and then I can start thinking about how I'm gonna merge in the Uxbridge line and the 2 Chiltern lines, so they should all about join up level about here, turn the corner, and then have the 6 tracks ready to go into Harrow on the Hill. And then the last bit to do up here will be to get the 2 boards in for this section so that I can start laying out the Harrow on the Hill station. Okay, so I've got the baseboards in. So the back one is East Coast West Coast line, so that'll run around the back. That will then run down the back of Harrow on the Hill. You won't see it at that point, behind shops and things, and it heads off down the loft. And then I've got effectively the Uxbridge line comes up either side of the 2 Amersham underground lines, and then my 2 Chiltern lines come in here. So as you approach Harrow on the Hill, there's 6 tracks, and that is what there is at Harrow on the Hill. This side of Harrow on the Hill, there's a whole multitude of points, turnouts, that allows basically any track to go to any platform. But I'm going to keep my 2 Chiltern line trains lines separate. So this is my up to Marylebone, this is my down, which leads back to Aylesbury. So they go through effectively platforms 1 and 2, And the reason I'm building Harrow on the Hill is obviously I was travelling from Aylesbury, so I would come in on this one, get off the train here, go up over the bridge, or in fact underneath, because at Harrow on the Hill you can either go over the station or pass under the tracks and get onto this platform here, which is 3 and 4, and then I would be able to get the Uxbridge train from platform 4, which would bring you back round, and it goes down the underpass. Boards are in. What I'll try and do at the moment is explain the sort of 2-track options I had. So I've always intended to, at the other side of the station, obviously the 6 tracks go out, and I've always intended that the underground would split and 2 tracks would go whatever it was like to the east of my London stations, and 2 tracks would go to the west. So the west ones will come down and be underneath Marylebone station. There's then a loop round with both tracks, and then they come back to Harrow on the Hill. So the simplest arrangement is just to have the points at the far end of the station. So you either come from Amersham or Uxbridge, pass through the station, and then you can go either the west loop or the east loop, and then return again either on the west loop or the east loop. It makes sort of running a bit more simplified, but my original plan was to have this option 2, where as you approach either from Amersham or Uxbridge, you can effectively go into either platform on the up, or come from either platform on the down, and then either decide to go onto Amersham, or come, instead of going to Uxbridge, come to Amersham, or vice versa, go off to Uxbridge. So it gives quite a lot more playability. So I think I'm going to go with the option 2. Points are just temporarily at the moment showing how the different arrangements will be at this side of the station. I'll move down to the sort of London side of the station. So the back 2 are my ups, and I can either go to east end line, returns round, and that one then comes back on this one, or I can choose to go to the west end line, which will go towards Marylebone station, and then you return on this one and they cross back over. So there's quite a lot of playability. So I've just got some old Hornby points in at the moment. I'll go and buy the others tomorrow when I'm up in Edinburgh. So that's going to be the rough layout of the tracks. Okay, so why build Harrow on the Hill? I really like the station layout. Obviously passed through it for 7 years, apart from 1 year when I had a car, and spent a lot of time sort of waiting here for the Aylesbury trains. I'll show up a few images of what you sort of get. So it's the iconic sort of metropolitan North London Art Deco style layout. So you've got this entrance on the west, which has the roundel, the glass above, and then on the platforms you've got the platform ends have the curved roof round with the sort of glass curved waiting rooms. So the Bachmann models do a little version of this. I've got 3 to build, 1 at the end of each platform. The other bit I really like is the tower as you approach from the north, with the stairwell inside. I started building it in January, February 2023, so we're still living in the Midlands, still literally building stuff in a cupboard. But I've always thought I could probably get this into the layout somewhere, so planned it so that it has the sort of 1.5 foot, 50 centimeters width, depth, and sort of just about 1 meter long, so 3 feet long, and worked on it for a couple of months. Then we moved up to Yorkshire, carried on working on it then up till about September time, and then it all got packed away into this box here, where it has sat for about 1.5 years. Wait for me to get to this point. So just briefly, back in Inkscape, I won't spend too much time on this. Effectively, in order to build a station, because there were so many components to it, I used Inkscape to draw everything up so everything was on a similar sort of scale. So this one here is showing sort of the basic layout. Ignore the garish colours, just helps you see the various parts. So these are the various in the grey are the 6 tracks going through, and then you've got the roofs of the 3 platforms. So platform 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are similar size. Platform 5 and 6 is just slightly shorter and slightly narrower when you look at the image from Google Earth. And then you've got the main station building. There's sort of an entrance either side. You'll see the tower and then the various structures that are on the platform. So I started to work on the various structures. So the first building I built was this one, which is sort of next to the entrance tower. It's like I suppose a office maintenance area for the staff. Then started to work on the waiting rooms. So as usual, draw it up in Inkscape, print it out, and then used the Scale Scenes brick, light London brick, I think, or cream brick, over the brown areas, and then with the Perspex and the sticky label method, scored it to create the windows and stuck that on the inside, and then other structures that go on the platform. And then I think to do the stairs down to the platform was this structure here. So you can see the stairs starting this end, going up. There's a series of sort of boxes with windows in, and various bits of glazing. And then probably the last 2 that are worth discussing. This is the main central part of the station. This was the tower structure and the entrance one. So I'll sort of take you to the bits that I've actually made. I won't go any further in Inkscape. Other people do it much better than me, but just to show that I had to use it just so that everything's sort of scaled together. So I'll get the various bits out, assemble them up, and then you can sort of see how far I've got. There's about 80% of the stations there. Nothing's glued together yet, so I've still got to finalise a few bits and put the whole thing together and put some lights in it. Okay, so this is where I started building. So this building along the front, so you can see this from the street view. So the road comes down and runs along. So this still going to fit some doors here, and then this is the entrance that I showed in the image. So you've got the west side of the tower and the steps out that lead you up to the main part through, and I've still got to obviously put the roundel in the window, but I've done all the glazing. So it's the stick and peel back approach. Made the steps, still got colour up inside. So that will sit about here. I've got a board on, and then on each platform there's a series of structures. So these are, that was the first one I made with the round end. So that's the waiting room, the white windows. I got better as I went along. They sort of seem more uniform. By the time I got to the end, I was quite pleased with the approach. So you get one of those. You then have, on the first 2, there's like a station maintenance lift. They've since put in pedestrian lifts, but I'm not including any of this, so this is all still set in the 80s. And then the next structure along had the steps down, so you get to the underpass, the pass between the 3 platforms, and they sort of go like that. And then these, shortly after the steps down, you get the steps up to this structure. So I've got 2 of them made, steps up, and that allows you to get up to the main station part across. And then that's all held up on this sort of leg structure that you can see. So if you watch tube driver cab views of them coming in and out of Uxbridge, you can see the structure with these sort of maintenance buildings inside here. They go about there. I'll need to refresh my memory. Right, I'll set up on the platforms and then show you the next bit. Okay, the things are roughly in place. So these are the steps down onto the platforms. You get 1 for each part, and then these are the steps down from the platform to the underpass. It allows you to pass also between the different platforms without going into the station. And this what I think is the lift for the maintenance staff, and then at the end there you've got the waiting room. Then along each length of the platform there's these light wells, and so I had to build them all. Again, it's just the sticky label method. So here's a small section, so it's just using the old Perspex plastic packaging from the points, and then over the main, so central bit of the station, again you've got light wells in, and then these extra light wells which sit either side of the central tower. Which at the moment I can't find. So this is with the main tower in place. So I've started on doing some stairs up on the inside, and then effectively this is wrapped around with this. Hopefully that will stay. I'm still working on this part, so I think when I stopped I hadn't done the bottom brickwork. So most things have survived being in a box for 18 months. I've just got 1 piece here that's sort of bent I can replace. I still haven't done the inside of the station as well, but you can see the main structure is there. So as it's I'm away all weekend, and then we're quite busy, and then it's Easter. So what I'm going to do is I'll put this one up, and then I'll probably catch up with you with an update at the end of April. So hopefully I've got the track in, and ideally have some trains running. So trains running from Amersham and Uxbridge all the way up around here, whose track laid and caulked, and into the station. That'll be my goal. Get that far. That'll be a good place to end it for the end of the month. So a bit of a challenge to get on with, and I'll slowly start putting this station together and gluing it, and I get some extra boards in here as well. I've got a little bit more stuff that sort of goes at the back drop and the front, but I just remember this is the back wall that sits behind platform 6, so it sort of shields the station in from the rest of Harrow on the Hill. So behind this is sort of flats and the back of the high street. So what will end up going behind this, there will be my East Coast West Coast trains sort of hidden away as they sneak down the back. So I do on my layout, I don't do posters of the time like other people do. I tend to do the music I listen to at this point in my life. So the period of Harrow on the Hill stretches from 82 to 89. So some of the stuff I was listening to. What am I trying to say? So originally I could have probably spent 3 to 6 months building this with little updates, doing each of the different structures and stuff like that. But because I've already made it, it didn't seem any point in going back in time. And also, what I have noticed over sort of a year and a half in doing this, the scratch build videos get the lowest views. I'll get 100 views and probably 10 likes and maybe 1 comment. Your comment usually is, why don't you watch some other scratch build videos? Which I do. So my favourite scratch builders are, in no particular order I suppose, Tony Northeastern, just because he does amazing different bits of the station. It's not just the same sort of structure, and shows how he makes it, and it's entertaining. Obviously Michael at Chandwell, because I used a similar sort of approach with the Inkscape, designing it out, do the wrap and cut and stick for the windows. And I also enjoy watching Julian at Station Road at New Zealand, and he's started to go more into sort of the laser cut. That's quite interesting to watch because it's certainly becoming more prevalent in the hobby. And I suppose the big laser cut guys are the Making Tracks guys, although that's more of that feels more like a club than an individual. And as they often say, you know, an individual hobbyist could not make those layouts in 6 months. It would take them 6 years. But if there are any other scratch builders who sort of work in cardboard that you're aware of that I'm not, please drop me a link. It's always interesting to find other people and see their techniques and how they tackle different styles and different eras. So please do drop a comment. Secondly, I don't know where this will come in the video, but I'll apologise for you keep getting this scraping sound. I've changed to phone, but I've lost the microphone connector for this phone, so hopefully for the next one I'll get that fixed. Anyway, on with the video. So whilst we're doing all this, it's probably a good time to talk about what the plan is for the end here. So normally with my layout, as you know, I've got roof struts and I just get short views in to small sections, so it's about 2 foot wide, 60 centimeters. Obviously at the end I get a much longer gap, so it's about 1.5 meters, so 6 feet. And what I want to do is at this side you're sort of coming out of, I suppose, the green of a London sub area, and then by the time you've got to this side you're very much into the outskirts of London, Metroland suburbs, so very built up. And so that's sort of the idea of this is the transition scene. It goes from the countryside to the city, so that's what I want to achieve. As always, thanks for watching, do appreciate it, and happy modelling, and maybe I'll catch you next time.